Today we are discussing politics, and it is not by accident. The 2019 general elections is less than 1 year away, and politicians of all pedigree have been flocking together. Against this background, Save Democracy Africa has been discussing political reforms in Abuja. It was a forum for politicians to discuss what else but issues of politicking, and there are issues, many of them. One of them is the conduct of politicians, which has a multiplier effect on just about everything, including the well-being of the country and the welfare of its people. After all, it is said that politics is about who gets what. However, in the build-up to 2019, there are many issues that need a contemporary touch. How can politicians pitch their ideas, and how do they deliver on their promises? Do we need to reform our politics? These and much more on Nigeria Today. I'm Wilfred Ewalefo. Yeah, thanks for staying with us, and we are discussing reforming politics or political conduct in Nigeria. I'm joined in the studios by two very eminent personalities. One of them, first of all, a professor of law, a former governor, and a former senator. And I'm going to introduce Professor Serame Osumbo. Prof, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Good evening. It's my pleasure.
And also, our second guest is a regular face on the NTA. He is a political analyst and also a columnist. Jide Ojo, welcome to Nigeria Today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
Okay, let's start off with Professor Osumbo. You are the politician in the house. So, let's start with you because, of course, we're talking about the conduct of politicians. And the first thing that comes to mind, really, is something that somebody said. He said, Nigerian politicians are a different breed. Is there any way in which politicians in Nigeria are different from those elsewhere?
Well, Wilfred, in a sense, you will hear many people saying that Nigerians as a whole are a different breed of people. Some will say perhaps they see it in a negative light, but sometimes it can even be viewed in a positive light, that Nigerians have an indomitable spirit, a can-do spirit, which takes Nigerians to all nooks and crannies of this world. Nigerians are daring, but also somewhat impatient at times. And you find all these various characteristics come to play even in the political terrain and in the behavior and conduct of Nigerians. And those who watch these events and conduct of politicians will tend to come to the conclusion that Nigerian politicians are different. Nigerian politicians are just part of the Nigerian society. So to the extent that you will say that Nigerian politicians are different, perhaps you will also say Nigerian lawyers are different, Nigerian businessmen are different, which perhaps may be why we have a Nigerian businessman as being the richest man in Africa. Again, that testifies to the can-do spirit.
Is it about our environment that influences, these personnel you're scripting?
Perhaps because our population is very large, and that suggests that the level of competition, even amongst Nigerians, for space, whether it is in politics or whether it is in business or what have you, is keener than you have in societies with less population than Nigeria. So you will say that our environment in that light imposes on us that tendency to be aggressive in whatever calling. Again, as I said, it has a positive effect which manifests itself in various spheres of life, including even sports, where you find the indomitable spirit amongst Nigerian politicians.
Ultimately, we'll look really into the characteristics of the average Nigerian. But let me come to Jide Ojo first of all. I mean, let's go back a bit and remember a man of the people that's written by, Chinua Achebe. Do we still have that kind of Nigerian politician?
Of course. Of course. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly among Nigerian politicians. In fact, Ayukwayama wrote many years ago that the beautiful ones are not yet born, but they are born now. The beautiful ones are around, and in every trade, every spheres of human endeavor, we are bound to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it is very difficult to pigeonhole people as a race or as a nation. if you, all Nigerians are not good, neither are all Nigerians are bad. All Nigerians are not scammers, neither are all Nigerians are saints. We just like who we are. We just want to be who we want to be. We are natural. We have that. It's in us, as the logo of Jingo says. The point is, yes, when you look at an average Nigerian politician, all he does is he's always looking at that competitive edge over his opponent, and it's a Machiavellian thing. The end justifies the means. So if you have to kill, maim, sabotage, do anything, all you just want is to have the diadem. Yes, declare me the winner, let the opposition go to court. But the bottom line is that, and it is not peculiar to Nigeria. I mean, we have to be very clear about that. It's not like it does not rear its ugly head elsewhere in Africa. But the bottom line is that the rules are set. And when the rules are set, of course, I do know for a fact, and as a political scientist, that an average Nigerian always want to short-circuit the regulations. And possibly maybe that's what distinguishes us from the rest of the world.
Okay, fine, we've just dealt with just general business, the question of the conduct of Nigerian politicians. But there's so much focus right now on Nigerian politicians, especially as we walk towards 2019. Are we sufficient, if I may say, are we satisfied really with the conduct at present of politicians? It is in tandem with the norms that we expect.
No, for me, no. I think a lot more is expected of our political class or our political elite, as it were. I think they need to put the nation first more than they are doing at present. Look at the issue about reordering of sequence of election and all of those altercations and brick bars and tantrums and all of the... I'm not sure it's being done in national interest. That's a personal opinion anyway. I think if they want to be more liberal in their thoughts and patriotic, they would not. It's not about I can take advantage of winning elections. It's not about winning elections.
Okay, let me bring in Professor Sumbo here. But you just had a Jide. What's your own thoughts really about the conduct of the political class today? I mean, you are a critical member of that class today. Are you satisfied with the conduct?
Not really. But let me start by saying, or repeating the popular saying, that a people get the kind of government that they deserve. And it's part of the shortcoming in democracy. Democracy, as they say, is the best form of government, but it doesn't mean that it's a perfect form of government. There's the negative side of democracy of, playing to the wishes and aspirations of the people. And the quality of government that they get, the quality of politicians that they throw up, the system throws up, is a reflection of the generality of the people. So if the standard of conduct of the politicians falls below what you would find acceptable, then it means that is what the electorate, the people, require of their elected representatives, which may not be the best. Politicians can be classified into two, very briefly.
Just comment, please. That's an assumption of a situation whereby truly what is happening is a reflection of the people's wishes. Because when you say that's what the people requires, I mean, you are more like submitting really that what we have been seeing, particularly with regards to elections, is a reflection of a true process that produced a rightful winner.
Well, you brought in a different issue, which is the process itself, whether the process brings about the will and the wishes of the electorate.
And you know why I did that? It's because of the fact that you talked about the fact that it's what the people require, and that's actually why I'm bringing that up. Yes.
We started talking about the conduct, and I say the kind of politicians and the conduct that you get from them is a reflection of what the people want. As a general principle, the related question is whether that actually happens in practice, whether those that emerge through the electoral process are really the true product of the voters, of the electorate. That is a question of the process. But what I can say is that politicians, as my colleague Jide Ojo mentioned, want to win elections. But as they say, yes, that is true of the average politicians, but we must differentiate them from statesmen. There are also statesmen in politics who are looking at the next generation, whereas the politician is looking at how to win the next election. And he will do anything fair or foul to win the election. If the political space is dominated by those kind of people, the society will suffer for it. Because we need to see more of statesmen who are looking at how to improve the society for the next generation, even at the expense of losing their own election.
Yes, Prof. Okay, sorry, I may just need to cut on there because I need to bring you at this point. I mean, going by what the Prof is saying, are we having more of statesmen or more of people who are desperate?
We have more of desperate politicians. I mean, there's no gainsaying that. If we do have more statesmen, this country will have been a lot better than it is. I mean, in other climes, politicians are poorer when they serve. In our own climes, they are richer. And we need to contextualize something. Why would there be electoral violence because you want to serve? Why will you arm militia to go kill, maim, destroy property, all because you want to read yourself into office? You don't read yourself into an office where you want to go and serve the people. It's about, if you don't elect me, I go back to my work. I mean, I know Prof is a professor of law. If he doesn't do politics, he will not starve. He can go lecture. He can do private legal practice and earn a decent living. But in our own client, look at the humongous amounts they take home under one guise or the other. Does that reflect statesmen? Look at the desperation to cut corners, to bribe their way through at every election. There are electoral officials in court today as a result of desperate acts and actions of politicians who just want to win at all costs. And if it costs them to bribe Jesus Christ, they will do it all because they want to win. And that is not the character of a statesman. A statesman will sacrifice himself, his own interest is, in fact, it's just about, no, this country, this society must move forward. But where you have predominance of politicians, or desperate politicians, let's qualify it that way, all you see is all this Machiavellian principle of, don't worry, the end justifies the means. Yeah. When I get there, I will talk about reform, but now you can't talk of reform.
Yeah, okay, fine. Now, Prof, you actually talked about this same issue about the question of the end justifying the means much earlier. But a pertinent question now is this: is there too much money in Nigerian politics?
I don't think that there is too much money in Nigerian politics. What I would say is that much of the money spent in politics in Nigeria ends up in people's pockets. I think if, to the extent that one can compare elections politics in Nigeria with elections politics in advanced countries, whether it is UK or the US, they spend a lot of money in politics there. But much of that money goes into media for campaign, go into transportation, go into all the logistics that you require to pursue your campaign and prepare for the election. But here in Nigeria, much of the money ends up in the private pockets of people, whether they are the political leaders at various levels, or all those who are involved in the electoral process from the lowest rung to the highest rung.
Okay.
So money is necessary in every political system. Money is necessary.
We're going to take a break now. I mean, and when we come back, we still be talking a bit about the conduct of politicians in Nigeria, and let's start looking at the issue of reforming the process. You're watching Nigeria Today.
Over there in the developed world, you see them playing politics for the love of their people. Many years back, when I was attending a course in UK, when John Major was the Prime Minister of Britain, I met John Major at Tottenham Court Road. He had only one car following him as a Prime Minister of Britain. No convoy, only his official car Jaguar and one car with 2-3 security men in Mufti.
The way we run our politics, to be honest with you, from inception, let's just take it from 1999, we saw how PDP came in. Okay, fine, they had their own time, and currently now the APC government are also having their own time. The way we go about the politics today is really not the ideal setting.
To me, we are not practicing democracy in Nigeria. If we are practicing democracy, we should follow the rule of law. We should follow, at least they travel to developed countries. They know how the country is developed, the way they practice the rule, the government over there. At least they should do the similar thing in Nigeria.
The man on the street is hungry. A cup of rice can change him. It's not even after your agenda. What has he got to do with your agenda when he does not have the next meal? Whatever you give him is okay for him. He queue up where you want to keep. And when you get what he wants, he abandons you. So first of all, let us improve the poverty level first. Once that one is done, then we'll begin to talk about agenda.
Nigeria, you know, our democracy is new. Do you understand? How many years have we gone? So we should there's one step, we should take the right step in the right direction. We are learning, and by the grace of God we'll get it right. But the thing is, what I keep saying is, you know, everybody has the right to fill the political party, you know, and there's a ruling party, the opposition, so they should just try to get their acts right and be, whatever the reason for forming a political party or joining a political party, you must have this passion, do you understand, genuineness for the interest of Nigeria and for the interest of the common man.
You're watching Nigeria Today, and we are, a cross-section of Nigerians in the streets speaking about reforming politics in Nigeria, particularly the conduct of politicians. We still have in the studios Professor Osumbo as well as Mr. Jide Ojo. And before that break, we're talking about the issue of conduct. And over there, there was this comment about the issue of why people ask up front. Now, Prof talked about the fact that much of this money ends up in private pockets. All this has to do with the conduct of politics in Nigeria. As far as I could say, Jide, what is it that is imperative that would change about the conduct of politicians in Nigeria?
There are different dimensions to what I can say, would change. The first is issue. You asked Prof earlier about the issue of money, whether there's too much money in Nigerian politics. In context, I would say yes. I don't know how much he spent on his own election years back, but I'm not sure any serious contender for the post of a governor today will have less than $1 billion. To be a serious contender, I'm not saying to win, to be a serious contender, because there are over 13 legitimate and illegitimate spendings you have to make. And that in itself corrupts the entire process, because from paying the nomination fees, look at what the nomination fee are. For an average civil servant, it's quite hard.
What do we need to do? Quickly.
What we need to do is to look at how to reduce the cost of electioneering, cost of politicking. And it starts
with reducing the pegs. If you know that you are likely to run into debt contesting election, you think twice before you sell your property to go contest elections. But situations where you see politics as an investment, if I mortgage my house, if I go take bank loan, I will recoup my investment. If, for instance, look at all the so-called pegs that people in the elective positions take under one guise or the other, it is meant to recoup their investment in politics. That's why you will see no one will say, I openly reject, I am not taking this kind of money, it's too outrageous. But when you look at the cost, what you have invested to be there, those who do not have this money go to godfathers to get their support. So when you demonetize the process, first and foremost, you demonetize the process, you look at offering yourself for service. If you lose, you are losing with your integrity intact. You are not selling your soul to the devil or because you want to sell. And when people ask you for money, and because the complicity is also the citizenry, the electorate, they are part of the problem. When you ask for stomach infrastructure, when you ask for second page, when you ask for when you become a see and buy electorate that first demands 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira for you to cast your ballot, you are contributing to that corruption in the electoral process.
Okay, Prof, that's one. The second thing that we need to quickly tackle has to do with this allegation of lack of ideology among Nigerian politicians, this penchant for cross-carpeting. How do we address that?
Well, just permit me, I will answer that, but permit me just to chip in a little bit as to what to do. Because the Electoral Act actually sets limit of campaign expenditure as to how much each candidate can. Yeah, but I just think that
But I think there has always been that limitation.
Yes,
in the Act.
that is insignificant compared in relation to the actual amount that is spent.
Yes.
And in any case, the window that the Electoral Act talks about is from the moment campaign starts. INEC says you should start campaign. But the process leading to that may have started a year or two earlier and monies have been spent. Even after the election, a lot of money is still spent, which aggregates to this high amount of money that you talked about. Now, talking about the cross-carpeting and lack of ideology in politics. Well, I often hear people criticize Nigerian political parties and the political system for lacking in ideology. But quite frankly, up to this moment, I have not found anybody who has been able to satisfy me as to what ideology he wants to find or see in any political party. Is it socialist ideology? Is it capitalism? Is it communism? What ideology is lacking in Nigerian politics that people talked about?
Everybody says, I want to help my people.
Exactly. So the ideology that is common amongst all political parties, including their manifesto, are the basic needs of life. People are interested in good roads. They are interested in good education. They are interested in health. They are interested in all the well-being of the people being improved. They are interested in the economy so that people can feed themselves and their families.
But that is
so this is the ideology.
Sorry, that is often anchored on certain principles. That's why we're talking about this whole issue of ideology. Like you just started talking about, being to the left or being to the right or the center. I mean, these are not just labels. They actually represent also the thinking with regards to your ideology.
What is left? What is center? What is right? Being left, right, or center means nothing to anybody who is ill and he needs good health services. It means nothing to anybody who doesn't have motorable roads. Unless you are saying the tax system, people will say, okay, a rightist party will demand less.
Because of time, I really actually want to, to go into a lengthy discussion about this. But fundamentally, we all know the fact that you have different ideologies, and that drives how political parties deliver. But just before we go, I just want to touch one particular issue. Campaigning will probably start, according to the Act, maybe about 90 days to the elections. Yeah. And then I wrote a piece over the weekend. It was quite nostalgic about campaigning in the First, Second, and Third Republic, about the fact that the politicians used to engage the people. Now, Jide, why is it so difficult for politicians to now engage the public, the people, in that manner?
Well, I think we are getting back to that era of engaging the people. It used to be that politicians are of the opinion that they don't need to do that because with or without the people they can win elections. But that's when impunity reigns in our electoral process, where people can sit in one room and write results of elections, where fake results can be announced and you ask the loser to go to court. Now that vote has started to count and people have noticed that even with all your billions you can lose elections, I think politicians are now engaging people. They are partaking in town hall meetings, they are campaigning, they are organizing campaign rallies, they are attending political debates. And that debate culture is already getting institutionalized. I think NTA is also part of the Nigerian political debate group that usually organize this debate for, and the social media is always a watch. There is practically no serious content that doesn't have a social media angle, whether Twitter or Facebook page or blog or even website. So they are engaging the people. It's just that the sophistication that has come into campaigning now is beyond what we used to see in the 60s, 70s, 90s, and early 2000s.
Well, Prof, actually, really out of time. Just as a final word, really, this issue of engaging the people, you had to engage people when you're contesting at various levels. But today, that culture, how vibrant is it?
Well, as Gideojo mentioned, one innovation is the social media, which was not there 10, 15 years ago. And particularly the youth. The social media is a powerful mechanism for mobilizing their consciousness. And the youth represents a very sizable section of the electorate, and people are beginning to engage that segment very vigorously. And with more and more enlightenment, I believe that the quality of engagement will improve.
Okay, well, that, Professor Suba, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on Nigeria Today. And also like to thank Gideojo for finding time to join us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
My pleasure.
We are watching Nigeria Today, and we have been discussing reforming the political conduct in Nigeria. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again.